superconductor is locked in space and it stays wherever I put it. You see, this is quantum trapping.
It's amazing.
As long as it's
so the
cold,
it's superconducting. It's frozen with liquid nitrogen.
Upside down.
Right.
And it stays locked.
So the fact that it's superconducting is locking the magnetic field in 3 dimensions, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that
pivots.
You see,
because this is symmetric, it can rotate without break the locking. The locking doesn't break.
Right.
Because
it stays there on the X and Y, but not on, it pivots on the
on the axis of the magnet. You see, if I can move it on the side, it will again pivot around the axis of the magnet, because it makes sure that the magnetic field inside of it stays the same.
Right. It's astonishing. Can you put it on the track for us?
Yeah. I just levitate it above the track quite high, and I can just rotate it.
So it's actually floating above the surface.
Yeah, it's not floating, it's locked above the surface.
So you could tilt it at an angle and it would still fly around.
Yeah, like this, and it will just go around like this. Because I go and put it at different height, and then like this.
And lock it at the height.
Lock it, yeah, different height, different configuration. And I can even lock it the opposite way. If you could just hold for a minute. I'm doing the same thing. I'm locking it upside down, and then it is suspended.
Fantastic. Okay.
Do exactly what sound does. They create toroidal fields. Just if you do this, you immediately see the toroidal fields being created by magnets around them, little toruses. And this is a full magnetic field, toroidal field spectrum. It's both positive and negative on both sides. There is no positive and negative in magnetic fields. This is where we've been incorrectly taught. It's actually just one field that work in opposite directions. It's centripetal forces that work against each other and oppose each other. And the complete toroidal field, like the toroidal magnetic field like this, has a both positive and a negative on both sides. So it both pushes and pulls from both sides. That's a complete magnetic toroid. It's not north on the one and south on the other. That's an incomplete magnetic field. This is very important information, people, and this connects us to some of the biggest lies we've been told about our reality and the world that we live in. Balanced toroidal magnetic field looks like. And what it does, it has an accretion disk in the middle. There you can see that yellow accretion disk. That's the center of the magnetic field. Whichever way you turn it, it's the same. As above, so below. We start to understand some of these basic fundamentals of creation, all coming from the breath of God, the breath of the Creator, the words that we utter. Everything that we say and create has the same effect, creating these complete, perfect magnetic fields. The torus equator plane emits energy and matter at its disk. All the matter in the solar system is emitted at the equator. All the planets go out in this one disk from the sun that rotates around the sun. And the same in the galaxies. The many, many galaxies that we've been shown photographs, they're all toroidal shaped galaxies, with the matter all spewing out at the galactic equator. We're even told that we are crossing the galactic equator because our solar system does this. And we cross the galactic equator. I no longer believe that, but in any case. So the half truths and half lies being woven together here. And we need to now figure out which is true and which is a lie that we've spun. This is some of the most beautiful new work, being able to actually see what a magnetic field looks like through the ferro lens. This is quite a new discovery, only about 10 years old. Now we can actually see what magnetic fields look like. This is when you look at a torus. This is what a torus magnetic field looks like. You can see the magnetic fields. Some people would call this the ley lines on the surface of the Earth. You can actually see the magnetic fields. So I'm suggesting that people that are reading ley lines are actually picking up the magnetic fields that crisscross the toroidal field of our planet. And the ancients knew this. They put all the ancient sites on all these magnetic lines because their ancient structures were actually driven by these magnetic lines and these toroidal field, these magnetic lines.
Here we have, let me get my little pointer. Here we have one pole, and here we have our other pole, and right here along the middle is the dielectric inertial plane. One of the great mental confusions people have, as I slowly turn this, you can see the magnetism interacting with the dielectricity, is that, well, why is there a dielectric inertial plane in the middle of a magnet? Why is it self-seeking, self-centering? Well, that has to do with the fact that magnetism and dielectricity are repulsive at 180 degrees from each other, not at 90 degrees, but if you were to look at a magnet diagram in my book, you'll see that, well, it looks like magnetism is occurring at 90 degrees to the dielectric inertial plane, which makes no sense. But in a binding system of a permanent magnet or otherwise, even in AC transmission lines, magnetism is the radiation of dielectricity. It is the spatial component that makes up the entire inner atomic of every atom on Earth and what gives mass to matter. Dielectricity is counterspatial. It is inertial. It is centripetal. Okay, magnetism is spatial, centrifugal and centripetal in reciprocation, but centrifugal. It is radiation by definition. All charge necessitates discharge. Magnetism is literally the radiative discharge of dielectricity.